It's time for episode 27 of the Mystical Times blog podcast with me, Michelle Eve. This episode is called The Ghosts of Nether Lypiatt Manor. Do houses and objects possess the ability to replay events from the past? And do those whose lives were prematurely ended play out their revenge in the present day? Humanity has always weaved stories from the threads of history, especially for those who happened upon harsh treatments from others. These stories may help us learn from past events and make us think about how we would respond in similar circumstances. Are ghosts seeking revenge a thing of reality, or are they a way of giving the victim some sort of justice? I'll leave that for you to decide. The Ghosts of Nether Lypiatt Manor. There is a beautiful house near the town of Stroud in Gloucestershire called Nether Lypiatt, and it was built on the instructions of Judge Charles Cox, who was sometimes known as the Hanging Judge. Judge Cox married Mary Chamberlain, whose father was Thomas Chamberlain of Wanborough, Wiltshire. The Chamberlains descended from an ancient family called Freem, and it was this land that Judge Cox came to be the owner of from his marriage to the heiress Mary in 1693. There had been a house on the acres of land, but it was demolished so that Judge Cox could construct a house that fitted in with his tastes and lifestyle. The house is said to have been inspired by two very well-known houses of that time, Coles Hill and Clarendon House, who were both designed by the prominent Sir Roger Pratt. Judge Cox was very particular about the house. It had to be designed to be as square as the rolling lands would allow for, and has been described as small but perfectly formed. The house has had several well-known and very rich owners, but the ghosts of Nether Lypiatt all seem to come from the time Judge Cox resided there. The house has a beautiful set of wrought iron gates, and the folklore here is that Judge Cox had a case before him, and the accused was a talented blacksmith. It is said that Judge Cox offered the blacksmith a deal: make him the most perfect iron gates, or he would be hanged for his crime. It is never stated what crime this blacksmith was accused of, only that the blacksmith agreed to undertake this task. The judge added that if the blacksmith were to fail, he would be hanged. So the blacksmith, under the threat of being executed, started making these perfect wrought iron gates. He spent weeks making the gates until he felt they were, in fact, perfect. When the gates went up, Judge Cox went to look at them and found a small imperfection. It was then that the blacksmith was hanged, but before he was, the blacksmith cursed the judge, his house and lands. Any bad luck that the occupants of Nether Lypiatt experienced was blamed on this curse. It's also said that the son of the judge hanged himself in the house, but there are no records which show this to be true. There was one living thing that Judge Cox seemed to very much love, and that was a horse called Wag. It is said that this horse lived to a ripe old age, and that he was a very clever animal indeed. The occupants of Nether Lypiatt would attach panniers to the horses' saddles with shopping lists inside. Wag would then make his way over to Stroud, where the shopkeepers would greet the horse and look into his panniers for the lists, then place those items inside the panniers. Wag would then return back to Nether Lypiatt, and the shopping would be done. There was a bronze obelisk amongst the trees by the house, and there was an inscription to the horse, and it read, "My name was Wag that rolled the green, the oldest horse that ever was seen. My years they numbered 42. I serve my master, just and true. The townsfolk of Stroud said that the judge was considered hateful to blacksmiths, but fond of animals. The house and its lands are said to be haunted by the hanged blacksmith and Wag the horse, and it is said that on every January the 25th, the ghost of the blacksmith sits atop of the ghostly horse and crashes through the wrought iron gates, with the blacksmith wailing out loud. This is said to have been the date the blacksmith lost his life. Another occupant of the house, a Mrs. Violet Gordon Woodhouse, moved there in 1923. She lived a very bohemian and hedonistic lifestyle at Nether Lypiatt. She was the first harpsichordist to have her playing recorded and broadcast. She was married, but in name only, and took on several lovers, both male and female, some of whom resided with her and her husband at Nether Lypiatt. The ghosts were widely spoken about during Violet's life in the house, and when her nephew took up residence there after Violet's death, the blacksmith's curse was blamed for any bad luck that happened to those who lived or visited Nether Lypiatt. Violet's own family background was also notable in the sense of how she inherited her father's immense wealth. It is said that her two unmarried sisters, to whom her father had left all his wealth and possessions to, were murdered by their butler, so the money and possessions went to Violet. Nether Lypiatt was also known locally as the Haunted House, and in 1956, a local historian said it was given this name due to it being empty and having a poor state of appearance not long before World War II. There had been reports of people breaking into the house, and some alleged to have seen a horse on the rather grand stairwell, as well as a grey lady being seen too. It was in 1981 that the cousin of Queen Elizabeth II, Prince Michael of Kent, moved himself, his wife Princess Michael of Kent, and their children into Nether Lypiatt. It is reported that the house cost £300,000, and they ended up selling it in 2006 for £5.7 million, and that they had to move due to their financial situation. They were asked if it was the hauntings that made them leave. The princess is quoted as saying, "I have no doubt that many old houses have some kind of spirit presence or ghost, and if Nether Lypiatt Manor has such, he, she, or it must be benign and well disposed. We as a family, our guests and our pets, have always felt a welcome from the house from the day we arrived and have been extremely happy living here. It is not known whether the current occupants have experienced any hauntings, and I do wonder if ghostly music, played on a harpsichord or clavichord, has ever been heard there." That's all for this episode, and I do hope you enjoyed hearing about the annual haunting of a ghostly blacksmith upon a ghostly horse. For the next episode, episode 28, I'll be taking you on another haunted pub crawl. Till next time.